Hello, my name is Mandolin Royal, and today we're going to talk about a couple of boys. They don't know each other. That's why they're frozen and staring at each other. I wonder who the first one is that will move. I'm evaluating their structure, their size, how they feel, how they act, to see which one I prefer. They're pretty similar, but when you get down into those little tiny details, we'll see. Which one is the better breeding bird? Well, that largely depends on the girls. And I have a lot more girls than I have boys. So I'm going to start with the boys to figure out which ones I'm most likely to use first. And then I'm going to go through the girls and figure out which ones best suit these boys and why. So I'm going to keep observing them. I don't want to overly stress them out by all this. So far, they're pretty equal in temperament. What do you guys think? You got into this spot first. They're similar in age. The one there on the left is maybe a month older, 3 weeks, something like that. This guy here, he weighs 7 pounds, 1 ounce. This guy over here weighs 7 pounds, 7 ounces. So there's only a 6 ounce difference in weight. And I can see it kind of in their structure too. This guy has a little bit added width and length and a little more added mass to his structure. But structure actually breeds forward the strongest through the female side, so I'm not going to sweat 6 ounces of weight on the male. I am way pickier on the girls. But let me go ahead and watch these guys, and then we'll get into their details on how similar or dissimilar they are, and which one ends up winning the preference from the breeding angle. Alright, so it's been about 2 minutes. They finally started moving around, and it looks like the bigger bird on the left is adamant about getting a hold of this other guy, and he doesn't want anything to do with that. So already dominance is to the bigger boy. They're gonna work through this, and I'm gonna keep watching them as they do it. And once they've calmed down and once they realize they can't really get at each other, then we're going to go ahead and do more of a hands-on evaluation with them. And I'm going to start with Mr. Dominant over here. We'll torture him first. And I'm going to film that from above so you can get a look at everything I'm looking for in that hands-on evaluation. But for now, I'm going to give them a minute to settle down. It's been another 2 minutes, and they finally realized they can't do anything to each other. I gave this one a little bit of a reminder that there's a barrier in between them, and I'm the bigger bird, and he should just calm down. And now that they're calm, I can really get a better visual. I apologize for the noise, but it is egg laying hour and the girls are busy. So right now in the visual inspection, this guy here is not only the bigger bird, but he has better white on the earlobes, darker blue legs, and I kind of like the spread of his tail a bit more. He seems like he's really going to be wide. We're going to figure out how wide when I do the hands-on evaluation. This guy, he seems smarter. I know that's hard to say about a chicken, but I think I like how his brain works. He's also right up here in the front of the cage because he's realized I'm the one that can protect him, whereas this guy is not interested in having me do that for him. Being as dominant as he is, he's not looking to me for direction, whereas this guy is. And once I put them in a pen with females, I appreciate that dynamic a little more. These guys are about 7 months old or so. So they might change in their viewpoint of me over the next 6 months. Historically, they ought to be just fine when they're dealing with me. Let me see how you move around. You're not coming out. Go ahead and back up. Nope, you're not coming out. You're fine. You're fine. I know your feathers are ruffled, but this is all okay. You're fine. See that? He's fine. And he's made the connection that I'm the reason that he's fine. Now, in their comb details, I don't like the comb on either one of them. This guy has conjoined spikes right there. You see that? That serration there on those two spikes should go all the way down, and it doesn't. The comb sits too forward on his beak. He has white on his earlobes, but not very much. His wattles are kind of different sizes. And we've got mild frostbite. Eye color is a bit orange. But going down through the rest of them, as ruffled up as he is in this process, he is just deep enough in the chest. But the heft of the breast meat here, this right here, that feels nice. His foot color is a little bit more pale than the other guy. But overall, not that bad of a bird. Can I see your tail? And the rest of you? Can I? Not too bad. All right, you're gonna stay here, and we're gonna mess with your friend. He felt real nice down by the keel. I hope that holds true for the rest of them. All right, mister. Yeah. He's a lot wider, darker legged, more white on the earlobes, and an even worse comb. This comb is terrible. But I don't know that many people that eat combs. And I can use the females to offset that kind of trivial trait. Why are you trying to eat shavings? Now, when these guys get into a position like this and they're getting a little stressed out, they're going to pull their feathers in tighter. And when they pull those feathers in tight, when they're on alert, it's going to make the chest look real shallow. Yeah, he's pulled in real tight. He's ready to go. Oh, he might be too wide. This one, I think, is more out of balance because of that width. Yeah, he's nice and wide, but I think it's dancing on that edge of too wide. This guy might actually have the better overall balance. This guy has better tail in the depth and fullness and how it's growing in. He's got some more feathers to grow. Both of them do. It's a little messy looking, which is from me messing with them, but also I'm gonna double check, make sure none of those feathers in there are twisted. So I never knew twisted feathers could be a fault that chickens have. But it turns out, yeah, the feathers can grow in incorrectly and end up twisted and a little weird. I still haven't picked a favorite because you have to look at strengths and weaknesses of each bird. And then when you align your breeding pens, you use your females to fix the flaws of the male. And both of these guys, as different as they are, they would get different types of females. Some of my girls suit one over the other. Some of my girls aren't going to suit either one, really. But I have so many females to get through. I'm hoping to get at least 3 for each of these guys. And initially it looks like I'll be focusing on overall balance of shape, leg color, and earlobes for this guy. This one, I'd probably nitpick on combs. Unless I decide he's too wide. I don't know, I can always hatch and see. But for now, let me go ahead and get over to the hands-on view from above. And I think we'll start with this guy since he's acting big for his britches. He thinks he's in charge. But we both know he's not. Yeah, we'll start with you, buddy. Let's not forget why structure matters so much. So both of those boys would present like this in a shrink bag. Because this is one of their peers. This is one that I didn't like as much as the 2 we're looking at today. But let's go ahead and get through the 2 that I have to decide on for breeding. I'll do a separate video on how this one cooks up. But yeah, structure. That's what fills a shrink bag. Here soon, I really am going to put my hands on these birds. But I'm still observing them. And I think the Vigor Award goes to the guy on the left. He is absolutely adamant that he can take on this other bird and win all the hens. Both of them have been living with pullets because they were preferred offspring out of their hatch batch. Neither one is inexperienced in living with female birds. But I bet the higher fertility rate is going to belong to the guy on the left. He'll make sure of it. This other one is sweeter and nicer, which may actually cause a dip in fertility when compared to this guy. I don't know. We'll find out in hatch results, and that's going to be months away. All right, let's get hands on. Let's see what we're working with here. All right, I've grabbed the left side boy first, the one who was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. He's not that happy about it, but he's relenting. He's letting me fool with him. I'm not a complete stranger to him. So I guess he's just gonna roll with this. Because he has to. So when you're evaluating birds, getting the hand feel is more important than getting a weight. Because weight does not necessarily make a better bird. When you're trying to do the dual purpose thing, when you want to get your meat and your eggs from the same bird, there's a little balancing act to find and then maintain. And if you're going to be breeding and hatching eggs, this is all stuff that's worth mentioning so that you can avoid breeding forward little, squirrely, pathetic birds, because there's no meat value there. So now that I have him, he's pretty cool, calm, and collected. And I've started by using this hand for support on his underside for calmness, and putting this hand on top of his back, which also fosters calmness. This does not have to be stressful. So I have a habit of not rushing. I have a habit of reaching for them from below. Their worst predators tend to come from above, and it freaks them out, and they don't like that. So you want to work low and slow. Kind of like how you would cook an older bird. Low and slow. Nice and gentle, because everything's fine. So one thing I'm noticing on this bird is that he has a pretty long back. Let me go ahead and scoot him up here. So his tail, if you get down there and rub down until you find that little tail nub, his tail starts right here. So that's where the back measurement begins. I'm going to place my wrist right there. I'm going to run my hand forward. Now I'll take my middle finger and work down in between those feathers to reach the body structure. And I'm looking for if I feel the little V of where the neck ties in, which is right about there with the shoulder of where the wing ties in. So when I pull that wing out, I'm looking at where it ties in. Oh, that's way up there. He's longer than I thought. So wrist at the base of the tail, run your hand up. Nice and long. I like to see that. Now, some other important measurements, and this has to do with body capacity. And body capacity has everything to do with how easy the females can lay eggs, how easy the boys are to process, and their overall health and well-being, because all of their organs have enough room to work within their carcass, because the skeleton holds everything inside. It's inside the skeleton. So a really small and tight skeleton is going to make a very constricted environment for the rest of their organs, but a nice big wide skeleton with strong body capacity, that's going to be a more productive bird practically every single time. And if you're worried about your flock performance, this is the stuff you have to worry about in your breeding selection, because what you select for is what you'll receive in the offspring. So next, from the back, now that he's nice and calm, I'm going to check the bone spacing, and I'm going to check the pelvic bone width first. So I'm going to put his head under my left shoulder. It's going to be dark there. It's going to make him calm. I'm going to tilt him up. Look at that tail spread. I don't see any weird feathers in here. I'm going to tilt him up and find those two little pin bones. Those are on either side of the vent, which is in here. There it is. He's a little poopy. Here's one of the pin bones. The other is immediately across. We're at exactly 2 fingers. My 2 fingers fit right in between. That is perfect on a boy. Next, I'm going to check the distance from the end of the keel bone up to those pin bones. And your keel bone is where all the breast meat is. So if you're a fan of white meat, you want that keel to be long. I know, I tilted you funny. So he's at 3 fingers distance from end of the keel to the pin bones. That is also pretty spot on. Why'd you panic? All I did was set you down. So the top end and the back end both check out. Now we're going to check the keel itself. You can do that with either hand, so long as you get a length and a feel for the fleshing and a feel for the width. So I'm using this hand because this one's comfortable here. My whole hand, the whole width of it fits in between his legs without even touching the legs. That tells me he's pretty wide and potentially too wide. The fleshing along that keel bone feels really nice. As far as the distance, I'm using my middle finger to find that top end of that long bone that runs the length of the body. Man, he's long. Let me see if I can hold this measurement. So I put my fingertip right at the beginning, run it all the way back, and align my thumb. So he is from here all the way to here in keel length. It felt nice and meaty as I went down. There is a broadness to the beginning of the breast that's nice to feel. This bird can fill a shrink bag really, really well. So he totally checks out for body. Plus he has the darker leg color. Plus he has the wider earlobes. And he's not showing any off colors in his plumage. He's gonna be highly vigorous around the females, which means a lot of fertile eggs. I think my least favorite thing about him is the comb. We've got wrinkles here, we've got a tilt and a lean here, we've got conjoined spikes here. It sits too forward on his face. But I think this guy is going to be a dinner maker kind of bird, and his female choices need to share all of his positive traits, but have a better comb. So then in the offspring, we'll sort out what's good, and then we'll eat the rest. Because that's the whole point. Alright, let's see how the other guy stacks up compared to this one. This one, he passes. He's a good boy. And now he has a new respect for me after we've been through this process. I bet he steps out of my way the next time I walk into that pen. Alright, now I have Mr. 7 pound 1 ounce, who was the right side bird of this choice. And he was so easy to get out of the sorting cage. He trusts me. That was the other guy crowing. He thinks he could take me. But he hasn't tried yet. So this guy, I want to give him the same treatment, where first I support him with this hand. He's close enough to me that he's hitting my chest and he feels well supported. He's being nice and calm. There's the little touch of frostbite that he picked up, but we're not going to sweat that. It's pretty mild. And I don't think he's going to lose any of that. But first we're going to start with the back, just like we did before. So I'm going to check out his tail. I'm going to find where that tail nub is. I'm going to set my wrist down and run my hand up his back. He's just as long as the other guy. Not as wide. I can tell, because where the wings tie in, that should be 3 fingers wide. And he is that. He is 3 fingers wide, almost exactly. I can feel this wing tie in here, and I can feel the other wing tie in right there. Right in between where those wings tie in, he's exactly 3 fingers, and it carries down the length of him. I'm hoping he has a similar bone spacing on the rear end. But the other guy is 6 ounces heavier. Where are those other 6 ounces of meat on this guy? So I'm gonna put his head under my left arm. I'm gonna pick him up. He's a little more narrow in the tail spacing. Not quite as wide in here. So I wonder how that translates to the pin bone spacing. Oh, yeah. So that difference of weight, it's in the width. This guy would be 1.5 fingers. He's more than 1 finger, but not quite 2, because these 2 fingers ought to drop right between those bones. On this guy, the 2 don't fit. It's like 1.5. And we're right there. They don't drop in between those bones. They kind of sit on top. Next, I'm going to find the end of the keel. Right about there. measure up. He's a little bit short there too. 2.5 fingers, not quite 3. So his bone spacing isn't as good. That's disappointing. I like his temperament a lot better. Now the front of the breast, which I'm using this hand to feel, not quite as fleshy. The distance, oh, it's shorter. Shorter in the keel for sure. Oh, dude. Let me see if I can get that measurement and hold it to show you. So from this finger to about there. I tried to use my thumb as a guide. So he's a little shorter in the keel and a little tighter on the back end. And it looks like that difference of weight is wrapped up into the breast meat. Man, it's disappointing. I like you better, temperament-wise. But the breeding operation isn't about me. It's not about what I like. It's about where do the better birds come from. And finding them and then propagating them forward. Oh, and he's so cute right now. He's not even leaning against me. He's leaning against my left arm. Alright, Mr. Show-Off, I think, wins the day. Let me put this guy back, and we'll talk more about that. Well, if I remove sentiment, and if I remove preferential treatment for the sake of temperament, this guy's the better bird. He has more going for him. He has the better bone spacing. He has the better structure. He has more breast meat. He has gumption. He has vigor. So, as far as the difference of females, this guy, I would look for a little closer between the legs. Slightly less width, but still carrying width, because that's where the breast meat comes from. Because of his white earlobes, I can be give or take with that in the females. And it looks like I need to focus on chest depth to bring that chest down lower and clean that comb up by using females who have a better comb, a more correct comb. Because one bird in the breeding equation needs to have the worst traits better than their mate. The more positive traits they share with each other, the better. Because it's all about honing stuff in, cleaning them up, making a more consistent result. Now these guys are out of the same genetic pool as we work our way forward and as we hone in and refine traits. This guy has a better tail, but he was tight on the bone spacing. So the female choice for this guy would be a little bit wider of a female than what I would give him. The girls would have to have the wider earlobe and better bone spacing. So they definitely get different girls that fix some of what's going on. Hey, dude, I know. Would you calm the heck down? Stop harassing him. You're a little bit rude to other chickens. Not me, so that's good. Now, with how young these guys are, they need a little bit more time to really finish up. So anything I do with them from the breeding angle is going to be about test mating and checking those results with the girls I put them with. Because I can change that as we go. I can change who they're breeding and why. And then I can track the results and I can figure out what the best option is as we go. But for now, it's that idiot that wins. Even with that weird comb, with the lean. He has so many other positive traits going for him. As we get closer to good weather, I'll be going through the girls and figuring out which females go with each male. And these are not the only two choices I have. I have some of their other best peers to also test. And as we go through everything, I'm going to talk more about test mating, paramating, compensation mating, as we work towards the birds that best suit their breed standard, that best suit the intention. And my intention is dual purpose. My intention is making the best shrink bag filling extra cockerels. This guy, he'll do that with the right girls. This guy will too, depending on the girls I use. It's all subjective and it all depends. Oh my goodness. Why? This one has better vigor. You can never go wrong with vigor. He's gonna fertilize everything I put in front of him. So long as he doesn't get distracted. Let me go ahead and get these guys back where they were. We're not quite at the point where I'm gonna segregate them into pair mating. He does respect me. I appreciate that. Alright. Now I need to wash my hands, get inside, and cook a chicken. I'll let you know how in my next video. And then we're going to sort through females. We're going to figure out which females belong with which male and why. Because hatch season is coming. And I don't want to see you waste your time. I want you to be well prepared, well educated, and ready to go. I think this one's prettier. And I think it's because of the tail. Oh, it's so subjective. It depends. Go with your gut. My gut says this guy is the better breeder bird based on everything. Once you consider everything, including temperament and overall health and vigor. Alright, I'll get these guys back so they can go on about their day so that I can get on with my day. More on this later.